Right, here we are, Assetto PS4 Pro, Thrustmaster T150 and a 20-minute online race at Silverstone. As you can see, the tyres are cold, brakes are cold, and I'm currently third after qualifying. So we're just trying to keep in the green marker and on the right, and we're waiting for the green light and try and see if we can make a place up off the start. Don't want to incur a penalty, so we're keeping everything in the green. So we've managed to make up a place into second because we've got the inside line. Keeping it really gentle with the cold tyres, as is the guy in first place in the Mercedes. Tiptoeing through the complex here, especially over the bumps on the last two bends. And away we go. We've got a bit of temperature in the tyres and the brakes, not a lot, but they're starting to come up to pressure now. Really catches me out with the early braking, and the guy behind me storming up behind. Just trying to keep things smooth at the moment. It's a long race, so no point trying to win it on the first lap. There's a few sections on Silverstone that are still, after years and years and years, still can't get right, especially that last bend, that last right-hander. I know what I'm supposed to do, just can never do it. But more of that when we get to it. So I'm running my fuel map at 1, which is the highest, but I've got a full tank of fuel, so I'm running heavy. There's no tune on the car, and my traction control's at 3 at the moment. So we come up to the last section here. You've got to treat it as a double bend, this right-hander, but I never do. I always wait, and then power out. But yeah, every time, just do not get the hook coming out of that bend. I get left for dead. Still treating this a bit cautiously. We're only a lap in. And into the complex again. This is, if you muck up the entry or any of the corners, you lose so much speed through here. I'm keeping off the curbs at the moment because we've got again, the tyres aren't fully up to maximum pressure, and I don't want to lose a bit of pressure out of the tyre and have to deal with that for the next 17 minutes. Big sweeping right hand down the hill, third gear. Lots of room to run wide on it, and then into this tricky little first gear left right. So at the moment, Mercedes up in front, and we've got a Lexus behind us, half a second behind us, but you'll get to see him in a minute. Big slide coming into there. Goes to show me tyres aren't grained in properly yet. Now the GTR, I can actually take that in second under a wide line. It's one of the only cars that I've found that could do that with. And I'm quite quick through that section if I get it right, compared to these other cars. Back down to my arch nemesis. Throughout the race, I'm constantly trying different lines on this. None of them work. I've got this Lexus right behind me again, and I know it's only a matter of time before I get jumped. There you go.
Clear on the right. Well done, mate. First of all, fastest lap.
Okay, pushing a bit harder through here now, just carrying a bit more speed into it. bumpy through there. You've got to watch yourself. So you're getting on the power after that right-hander in third gear. And as the race goes on, you've got to watch for marbles on the outside of here. Well, on a lot of the bends actually. It's not too bad online because you start with a clean track. Bit of a slide. GTR seems quite forgiving when you slide it. You can catch it quite easily compared to some of the mid-engine cars. It doesn't get too unsettled when you cut the curbs. Again, reel them in on this tight section. Just can't really take advantage of it. Not getting on the power early enough there. So we've now got a Porsche that's worked its way up the field, past two cars behind me, and he's now 3.5 seconds behind. Of course, if they've come late into qualifying, they won't have got a qualifying lap in, and we'll be starting further back down the field of cars and then working the way through during the race. But it's I have to say the standard of racing really strong on Assetto Corsa. Really clean, fast guys driving. A lot of fast guys driving. Not really put the time into it yet, not a chance this week, but we're getting better. Although the cars in front are now pulling away. I say pulling away is 1.4 seconds. I can kind of keep that gap, but I can't make anything up on them. I'm just watching these two up in front, seeing if one makes a mistake. Some good defensive lines going on up in front. She's slowing them up. It's allowing me to catch them into these slower, more complex turns as they're going more defensive. So we've reeled it in. We're 0.8 of a second behind the guy in front. Although the Porsche is now a second behind me. Made a second up. He's made half a second up on me on in about half a lap. Gone wide here, really wide, and that Porsche is taking advantage of it. It's half a second behind me now. The Mercedes up ahead taking the defensive inside line there against the Lexus. Lexus just sitting back as I make a huge slide, a big mistake. I've got the Porsche all over me. Again with my favourite corner, he's on me. He's looking at the outside line and thinking better of it. He's just sitting there, not doing anything stupid, not diving up the inside. He's just backing off a bit, giving me a bit of room through here, because again, passing through here is a bit idiotic really. I'll just back him up a bit there just to make sure I get a good line and get some good speed on this straight, which I have done. I can concentrate on the cars ahead. Reel them in again. Again, that Porsche right up behind me. Fourth gear swinging right, very fast. Again, going over those curbs and the two rumble lumps in there, and the car's quite happy to do it, not getting upset, although I'm not going to try it on these sausage curbs here. That really will put me on two wheels. Again, I've gone wide there. Porsche looking at it, couldn't get the drive out. So at this point I'm getting distracted with the Porsche behind me more than watching the track in front, as you can see. And that's an open door. But I've got the inside line. Not that I can put any power on with him still there. Now I can. He's going for the cutback. He's got it. He's got it on just. Here he comes. And he's got the inside line for the next bend, so I'm not going to be stupid. I'll brake early.
Clear on the right.
Just let him go through. Clearly faster than I am. So we'll stick behind, see if he makes any mistakes, and let a third car get up into that pack in front. Maybe we can drop unlucky. Now the board at the bottom is showing that I'm in 5th place, but I'm in 4th. I'm not quite sure what that's all about. So it'll just correct itself in a bit. Yeah, that Porsche, he's away, isn't he? He's absolutely flying up the road. Can't get much of a wider line than that. Now the temptation here is to drive like a maniac trying to catch up with these guys, but that's the quickest way to put yourself in the barrier and out. Now I've got a Lamborghini trying to go up the outside there, not quite sure what that was about. He was making his presence known, put me under pressure and make me move over, but I wasn't going to. Now he's looking on the inside. He's not going to get me on this.
Car on the right.
But he's on my right.
Clear on the right.
And somehow he nips through. Don't know what tune he's got on that car, but he's got a lot of low speed grip. But again, clean drive, clean racing, well driven. So we'll follow the Lamborghini for a bit. Confused me there with what he was doing. I think he went in a bit too hot and corrected. Again, just losing out on that last turn. So now we're actually in 5th. So the board's showing correctly now. Maybe it was just it knew what was coming. Lamborghini carrying a load of speed through there, running really wide. Okay, we get a good run through here, but the Porsche is spun up in front.
Slow car ahead.
Whoa, and I'm at all shapes trying to avoid him. I wasn't expecting him to catch that spin that quickly and get back on the power, but no coming together. The Lamborghini got the advantage of that one. I just got to scrub away lots of the rubber on my tyres, but still in it, still in 5th. Whoa, yeah, of course scrubbing all that rubber off has given me a problem. So we bang up the traction control up by 1. So I seem to have well, you can see, well, you could see there was a bit of heat in the rear tyres there a little bit. So collect everything back together and away we go. So now we're 7 seconds behind the Porsche in front, but we've got a healthy gap between the cars behind. So just settle back into it. We'll just start putting laps in. There's 5 minutes left in the race, and we'll see if we can pick up any places. Because if my tyres are going, the cars in front, they're going to have the same problem. Only they've got to put up with racing and defending in a tight pack. And I think somebody's pitted. Yes, somebody's pitted in 7th place. Must have had some damage to his car, or his tyres are completely destroyed. So yeah, that's an example of getting your line wrong and having to back out of it for that final third, well not the final, second to last corner, which is the slowest corner of the whole complex.
Yellow flag.
So we've got the traction control still on level 4 to take into account of the problem I've got with the rear tyres. And we're catching up on some slower cars in front. I'm not sure whether this is somebody I'm lapping or whether it's one of the cars up in front that's got a problem. We'll find out when we get there. Looking at the lap times there, I'm actually catching the guys in front, 2 of them, so it's obviously been something's happened up the road, and we're down to coming on 3.5 minutes to go. Oh, there we go. That Mercedes is fell off the track. That was the guy who was in first place that I was racing at the beginning. Looks like he'd spun, but that puts me up into 4th, and I've got the Lamborghini in front of me, who must have obviously been backed up by the Mercedes. So as you can see, it's always worth carrying on, even when you think you're not going to get any more racing in, or the race is over, or you're last. There's always going to be something happens. Yeah, and that Mercedes has had another problem. And now we've got a Ferrari in the pits, so the Mercedes is now 26, 23. Yeah, he's dropped off the pace massively. I can only think he's hit something. He's got some damage to his aero, or his tyres have completely destroyed. But we're keeping pace with this Lamborghini, so his pace has dropped off a bit as well. As a whole, I've been keeping the tyres in fairly good shape, not been too many slides and all the rest of it. And we're certainly not lost any pressures with rattling any big curbs. So that's 1.5 minutes to go. Still can't get this. I've run wide again, and that will be because I dropped my traction control down to 3 at some point in that lap. Trying to get some traction on here, it's just not working. Muck on the tyres. Now we're away. I've banged the traction control up to 5. Out of frustration on that one, should never have dropped it back down to 3. But with a good gap behind me, no chance of catching the cars in head. 50 seconds to go. Yeah, there's no point pushing it. So I've dropped the traction control back down to 4, where it seemed to be happy. We'll just keep an eye on that one. I certainly won't be dropping it back down to 3. Ooh. A bit deep on the apex of that corner there, it's a bit rough. And that's it. The timer's over. So it's going to be from when the leader passes the finish line. It's going to be the end of it, I think. But 4th place, not bad for an online race. The guys were running quicker lap times than I was. Well, a lot of them were anyway. But managed to put in a consistent effort and didn't get in the way too much and didn't crash, which is a bonus. Spun it twice, but that was down to poor choice on my behalf on the traction control. There we are, around my worst corner ever for the last time. Well, anyway, thanks for watching. Online is excellent, as you can see. Big slide and out onto the apron, and we'll park up with the Porsche. Adios.